Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on this Monday, January the 20th. We're happy to have you in for another episode of the Prime Time Show. Big news in the world of the Tennessee Titans since last we met for the Prime Time edition of things. They have hired a general manager, but that may not even be the most exciting news about the Titans' hiring and firing process. That's something that we're going to dive into here tonight. We are always appreciative of you guys stopping by, and we are looking forward to having a fun show with you before we get into the discussion about the special teams changes that have been made. Dramatic special teams changes on Brian Callahan's staff. I don't know why there's a question mark in the title, but that's something I'll yell about. Well, I guess I'll yell at Bert about it right now. Either way, there is significant special teams news, though no firings have been made officially, which is something that we can also get into because I think there was a couple of people that jumped the gun today, and those things still might happen. But right now, Colt Anderson still currently has a job with the organization, even though he at bare minimum has been demoted from his role as special teams coordinator. So we will cover that ground tonight. We will talk about the idea. Are you okay with Colt Anderson staying on potentially on this staff as they work through things under new special teams coordinator John Fossil? And then we'll see what sad boy Bert has going on because his Ravens lost last night and he's been in a depression nap for about 36 hours at this point in time. I guess it hasn't been that long, 24 hours. Either way, we're happy to have you. We need you to share this broadcast around Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch. Wherever you are spending your time here with us, we always appreciate when you share the broadcast around. If you're hanging out on Twitter, please retweet the show in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And if you're on Facebook Live, you can share now to public, as I see several of you are. You can share now to public in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. YouTube or Twitch. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell a friend to do the same while you're at it. That always makes us happy, and certainly we enjoy spending our time here with you. And we missed you last night, but that's okay. We took a little night off to let Bert recoup from the damages that his football team wrought against him, and now we're back better than ever and here to talk about general managers and special teams coordinators and all manner of good things. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Zen Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising, and I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by the aforementioned Zen Sports. It's not too late to bet on the national championship. Ohio State is -8.5 against Notre Dame tonight. That's a very big line for a national championship game. The over-under currently set at 45.5. Not too late to get your bets in at zensports.com. Promo code ATOZTN. True Math Fitness, where you get your first workout free. By the way, happy 6-year anniversary to True Math Fitness. They had their sixth birthday on Saturday. TrueMathFitness.com for your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. The best workout in Nashville is True Math Fitness. And by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. And the Bart Durham Injury Law Firm. You deserve to be paid. Blair Durham and his team can get you covered. Go to bartdurham.com for more information. Okay, so let's walk our way through this because we have significant news on a variety of different fronts since last you and I met. I know the morning show has had a show since Mike Borgonzi got hired. I know we have not had a primetime show. We did the radio show, obviously, for 3 hours today. I assume most of you caught that, but maybe you didn't. On 104.5 The Zone, where we talked about at great length Mike Borgonzi, and we're still awaiting an announcement on a press conference. Sounds like it's going to be Wednesday at this point. Certainly if they do it tomorrow, it would be pretty short notice. They have not sent out any level of advisory yet, and doesn't sound like Mike Borgonzi is even in town just yet to conduct said press conference. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But what you need to know specifically tonight is that the Titans have made a massive upgrade on their special team staff, and that is the bringing in of John Fossil, a.k.a. Bones Fossil, who Bert refuses to call by his government name. It's only Bones from here on out. And this is a person who is regarded as one of the best coaches at his position as a coordinator of special teams, a veteran, experienced coach that has multiple years of service with multiple organizations and has a proven track record of success everywhere that he's been. So with Fossil coming in and Colt Anderson not fired yet, a couple of people jumped the gun on that. Again, maybe Colt Anderson still ends up getting fired, but that person above my shoulder here, Fossil, is going to be evaluating everything that's currently on the Titans staff in the domain of special teams, which includes Colt Anderson, and maybe he makes the determination that he's content to move on and bring in his own people, but maybe he doesn't, and Colt Anderson is in a demoted role. So we will see how all of this plays out here in the coming days and, probably not weeks, but there will be more changes made across the board in a variety of different roles, whether it's promotions, demotions, firings, hirings, all manner of different things that are typical around this time of year. And certainly they were waiting on the hiring of a general manager to really move forward with at this point in time. So we'll get your reaction. In fact, that's your Two Rivers Ford take on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. I know we haven't talked, you and I, on primetime, haven't talked about Mike Borgonzi yet, but understanding that the Titans landed both the top general manager candidate on the open market, which they should feel pretty vindicated about, given that everywhere in the country that was talking about, including this show, including me, talked about how phony the Titans general manager job looked. Even the league investigated. And by the way, they cleared the investigation as far as what the league was looking for, satisfactory based on the requirements of this actually being a promotion for people who were serving as assistant general managers, as vice presidents of football operations at other clubs and things of the like. So they've hired a general manager. That's a clear and obvious upgrade, even if the process to get there was kind of nonsense. And now they have added one of the most impressive special teams coordinators in the league to their coaching staff to at least work in a role over a special teams unit that may or may not include Colt Anderson moving into the future. So significant upgrades at two significant spots where the Titans were, as far as personnel acquisition, the Titans have been politely ass. And as far as special teams, what is below ass? I don't know. Cheeks feels
Tank is below the ass.
No, it's isn't it kind of like behind the ass?
Below the ass. So that what are they? The back
behind,
of the
not below. It's not physically like under it. It's behind it, right? No, actually, I think it's in front of it. If I'm being anatomically correct, is it not the area between? Is it not the area between the front and the back?
Okay, so are they the taint or not?
No, I think they're ass. Either way.
Okay, they're ass.
Thank you for your contributions. So Titans personnel acquisition, ass here in the last couple of years. Titans specialties, mega ass in the last couple of years. And specifically under Colt Anderson, it has been an unmitigated disaster at the start of the season. Basically, I wouldn't say 2/3 of the season, but certainly over half of the season. The Titans have one of the worst special teams units in history, not just one of the worst special teams units in the league. People are asking now if Burt wipes from back to front. He sounds like he's got his physics a bit diffused. Other people commenting that Burt is so depressed he put his shirt on. Yes, that's how you know he's down. Tremendous. You don't need to speak for yourself on every given thing. I can defend you just fine. Get out of here.
I have a bidet, just so everyone.
Nobody believes that. It's not a real bidet. It's like one of those clip-on things.
It's a hose. It's a garden hose. It works the exact.
I don't care about your gooch treatment. I'm trying to talk about special teams.
They can be gooch. Okay, gooch is softer than tank. The Titans are gooch. I don't hate.
Get off my screen before I have to do an ad read after talking about somebody's gooch. Either way, we are talking about get out of here. I'm not interested in doing the Lamar Choke Show. We could do that another night. The Titans have upgraded at two significant positions where they absolutely needed to upgrade. And we understand now that John Fassel is going to be overseeing special teams. Now, we'll talk about the implications of that here in just a second. But first, I'm going to remind you that your Two Rivers Ford take is this. What are you more excited about? Genuinely, because I think there may be a pretty decent split on this. I assume that most of you are most excited about the hiring of Mike Borgonzi as the general manager. But I think there's a good percentage of you that are probably more excited about John Fassel than you are about Mike Borgonzi. So What are you most excited about that which hire are you most excited about that the Titans have made in the last 72 hours between Mike Borgonzi and John Fossil? Let me know in the comment section on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch which hire you are most excited about at this point in time. Perhaps you'll go with recency bias. Perhaps you'll be nuanced and say, no, of course, you idiots. The general manager is the more exciting hire. But I don't know. If you watch the Titans special teams under Colt Anderson, you're probably most excited about that at this point. We will get into these things together. It is, of course, your Two Rivers Ford Take. Your Two Rivers Ford Take is made possible by the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com, where they will make the car buying process fast, easy, and fun. I was at the Two Rivers Service Department on Thursday afternoon. They took care of my 2022 Ford Explorer. She runs like a dream, and she is the best in – she's not the best in the business because there's been newer models, but she is one of the finest vehicles that you will see anywhere in Middle Tennessee because she is a Two Rivers Ford product. As they have helped me, they have helped so many other millions of Tennesseans across 40 years here in business. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com. I do love my car, though, and shout out to Two Rivers for taking care of her on Thursday. All right, so general manager or special teams coordinator, which are you most excited about at this point in time? Ching says we should carry Colt Anderson down Broadway like a goalpost as a thank you. Listen, he's not fired yet. We'll get to that. I mean, maybe he's fired by the end of the show. But right now, talking to people in the organization, Colt Anderson still has a job. He's just, at minimum, been demoted. He may not have a job with this particular. Actually, I don't know if he would be employable by any other team after this year. But he may have a job here tomorrow morning, and he may still be a part of your coaching staff in some form or fashion. They have not officially made a decision on that yet. They are allowing Fassel to have his input on what currently exists on the Titans coaching staff regarding special teams, and then they will move forward as a result. He's been in the facility before today, as is my understanding. He was at the Titans facility as recently as last week in part of trying to get him under contract because the Cowboys were trying to retain him, but obviously the Cowboys don't have a head coach right now. So that's a difficult thing to do for a person that you're trying to ensure job security when you can't ensure who his boss is going to be at this point in time, which is also a product of Jerry Jones kind of neglecting, to be honest with you, the coaching cycle and kind of letting it get ahead of himself at this point in time. So which hire are you most excited about in the comment section? Colt Anderson, quality control coach, says Jaron Lockridge. Ching says, I love the special teams hire because of who they'd got more than replacing, because of who they got more than just replacing Colt Anderson. Craig says he's most excited about the general manager. Understandably so. That was somebody who was a part of building the Kansas City Chiefs up from a 4-win football team in his first year with the organization to a 3-time Super Bowl champion that has appeared in 7 consecutive AFC championship games. He is somebody, he's the best possible option. I have no idea how it's going to work out here, but like I said, of what was available, that was the person whose resume impressed you the most, and he has pretty resounding respect around the league. But I will say to you, there was a lot of that line around Ran Carthon, and then all of a sudden the Titans decided to change the job description for which they hired Ran Carthon, and Ran Carthon was no longer good enough to do that job, nor was he good enough doing the job while he was there, but they never really clearly defined the parameters for him, which I consider a failure on the Titans organization more than I do on Ran. By the way, you can answer that you're excited about both of these things because both of these things are exciting. Titans fans haven't had a ton to get excited about. I mean, basically since the first half of the Chicago game, or maybe the number 1 overall pick. But even that didn't last very long because of everything that went down with Ran. And then, there's the Amy Sell the Team movement where there's GoFundMes all over the place calling for the current controlling owner of the franchise to sell the team because you were so displeased. Then she seems to have quieted many of you with the Borgonzi hire. And now John Fossil coming in is going to help soothe some of the angst around this team because at least you're seeing progress, positive momentum regarding 2 of the biggest issues with the Titans organization right now. I'll tell you Borgonzi's the more exciting hire to me because it really makes me think that in the 5-year contract, because he got a 5-year contract, it makes me think that they're actually going to operate with a degree of patience. Now, could she, blow a fuse and hit the eject button as she has done basically each of the past 3 off seasons, yeah, that could still happen, but at least there is some leverage that Borgonzi had as the lead candidate for a couple of these jobs out there that were available to say, no, I want a 5-year contract, and I'm going to have final say on the roster, even though Chad Brinker still has veto power, which is a little nebulous to me. But, it's a more clearly defined structure than it has been at any point in the last 3 years. And I maybe it's not good enough, but at least it's a sign of progress. Their process may have been asked to get here, but they may still be right, even as they spent 3 years making mistakes to get to this point. All that to say, I think that the Borgonzi thing is more impactful in the long term. The Fossil thing is more impactful in the immediate, because you will clearly see the results of veteran experienced coaching, of which Colt Anderson, of course, was not. This is a stat pack, for lack of a better term, put out by the Twitter account at Jake and Ball. John Fossil is a massive upgrade. Cowboys special teams this year. He was the former Cowboys special teams coordinator, if I didn't mention that, though I think I did either way. First in kick return touchdowns, first in kick return average, first in 40-plus yard kick returns, first in punt return touchdowns, 14th in punt return average, so still top half of the league, 8th in 20-plus yard punt returns, 11th in kick return average allowed, 13th in net punting, 2nd in field goals made, one of 3 teams to recover an onside kick in 2024. All of those metrics, you would find the Titans at the bottom of the league at this point in time. There are so many different things that this will improve upon, and I think it'll make the players better as a result, because they have somebody who knows what the job is. They have somebody who knows what they're doing, and I don't want to take anything away from Colt Anderson, because Colt Anderson was a career special teams player. It's not like he doesn't know anything about special teams, but he doesn't know how to manage a group of people yet, and that's something that still is a learned trait. This will be valuable experience for him, potentially moving forward in his career, but he wasn't ready for the opportunity, and that was glaringly obvious anytime you saw the Titans special teams unit take the field for basically two-thirds of the year. Seems a little bit excessive, but definitely more than half the season, they were among the worst special teams unit of all time in NFL history since the godforsaken merger. Colt Anderson's unit was one of the worst out there, whether it be the kick returns that they allowed, whether it be the scores that they allowed, whether it be the missed tackles on special teams. So many different issues. Punt blocks. I know that feels like a million years ago, but still, that was a huge problem for them early on. Borgonzi is a long play. Fossil is an immediate impact guy, so I would understand why some of you would say, well, Fossil is the more exciting one, because you'll see the dividends of that right away, whereas Borgonzi's work with Chad Brinker and Brian Callahan, that might take a little more time. Now, I don't know that buys Brian Callahan necessarily more time, but I know that this goes a long way towards helping his cause if he's trying to stick around. And, for better or worse, they believe that what they've done here is going to prove them right. I had somebody in the organization mention to me the idea of maybe people will see us playing chess and not checkers eventually, to which I audibly scoffed at and said, all right, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. 3-14 before we start playing. But we're not even playing chess yet. We're still playing Connect 4 at this point in time. Let's not get ahead of our skis here. But I understand why they would feel vindicated, because people like me said your GM job's a fraud, and then they landed the best they landed the best general manager candidate on the market. And, people like me have to eat it today. That's fine. But we will still await the results before we start getting ahead of ourselves. I do like the idea that they seem to be committed to a process, because that roster last year was miles away. And the worst thing that they did last year was upsell how actually competitive their football team could be in 2024. So from that, we will move to, because I want to get you guys out in time for the national championship game, and I'm going to sneeze. Woo! Woo! All right. So all that to say, Fossil in, Colt Anderson not officially out yet, but that's the question that I want to ask you guys coming up next. Fair or foul? Keeping Colt Anderson on the Titans staff in a demoted role. Let me know in the comment section, fair or foul, the idea of keeping Colt Anderson under John Fossil We'll spend more time on the general manager stuff when we have more time to get into it, but the national championship game is getting ready to kick off, and I want to watch it, and I know you want to watch it as well at this point in time. Let me know how you feel about it. I will let you know in the interim that the Primetime program is made possible by the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. Go to GaryAshton.com. Get your dream address without the stress. Get the intel edge you need to succeed with the official real estate agent of the Nashville Predators, who have won 2 in a row as of late. Preds look a little better. Making progress, potentially midseason turn. That would be swell. GaryAshton.com is there to help you. Don't sell without the intel that can only be provided courtesy of the Ashton team. All right, fair or foul? Potentially keeping Colt Anderson on John Fossil's staff. Bork says fair as long as he can handle the weird. I mean, it's either that or don't work, because I don't think maybe somebody would hire him in an assistant capacity, but nobody's going to hire that man to be their special teams coordinator after last year. Deborah says foul, just straight up, needs to go. Mike wants him to be the new water boy. Adam Berkowitz says fair, why not? He can get special teams playing somewhere. Many of you submitting that he wants to be, that you want him to be rather the water boy, that you want to not just demote the man, but humiliate him, which I think is a bit cruel. William Young says fair, it shows mercy. And I'm not necessarily opposed to mercy. But if a person is not good enough to do the job, and in fact, to some extent, actively hurt your team last year, I think there's a couple of different examples that you can point to in areas where Colt Anderson's lack of preparation and his inability to get his unit prepared directly hurt the team. I think there's evidence of that everywhere. If the person's not good enough to do the job, then is it merciful to keep him around, or is it a pity situation? You should want to keep the person around because they're good at what they do. And I'm certain that there's something that Colt Anderson does well. We don't have access to their meetings. We don't get full access to their practices. So we'll never be able to directly tell you everything that Colt Anderson does within the scope of his job, where his strengths are and where his weaknesses are. All you see is the results on Sunday, and you say, well, that's garbage. That's not good enough. Get this man out of here. So if he does have value, then yes, I'm for keeping him. If you're just doing it because you feel bad and, because it shows mercy, no, I think that's garbage. If he brings something to the team beyond you like him, then keep it. If you cannot, and that's what Fossil's job is. I keep pointing the wrong direction. I feel like a weather person on a green screen. If Fossil feels like he adds something to the mix, keep him around. If he doesn't, cut bait. Nothing wrong with that at this point in time. So let's see. MB says Colt Anderson was fired, but no, he hasn't been yet. Again, he has not been yet. I know that the A to Z account jumped the gun on that. I know that Jordan Schultz jumped the gun on that. It's entirely possible that he still gets fired. The point is, he hasn't been fired yet. So just something to keep in mind, something to kind of think about for the moment being. And it allows for the possibility that person still may be retained. I would expect it's more likely than not that he does get fired. But the point is, he has not officially been fired by the organization as we sit here on January the 20th at 6:42 p.m. Maybe it's a different story by the time the morning show gets on the air, but that's where things stand as of right now, and we'll keep you up to date with the latest as things become available. So Edward Hayford says, why is he there? For what? Because Callahan likes him, and he wants to give his guy an opportunity to be evaluated by the new special teams coordinator. If the new special teams coordinator doesn't like him, then he's out. It's pretty cut and dry, I think, at this point in time. But continue to David Lisa, did Todd Downing get fired yet? Technically, I don't think Todd Downing is fired yet. Pretty sure he's still under contract with the New York Jets, but they also still have not hired a head coach, and neither is Dallas, which is why John Fossil is here now as the special teams coordinator. So fair or foul, I think it's fair if he brings value. Of course, that is not my determination to make. That is that man's determination to make, and we'll see ultimately what determination they make later in the week. All right, Bert, we'll get in here, give us an in case you missed it, and then we'll get you ready for the national championship game between Ohio State and Notre Dame. Right after I remind you that the Bart Durham Injury Law Firm is there for you because you deserve to be paid. And Bart Durham Injury Law under Bart Durham and now his son Blair Durham have continued to help people in Middle Tennessee and in Kentucky get their payday as they need it. You can get a free consultation at bartdurham.com for more information, because they are there to fight for you, they are there to work for you, and they are there to make sure that you get your fair value when it comes to automobile accidents. bartdurham.com for more information today. All right, Bert, what do you got?
Bart is actually great. The person that I performed a hit and run on, they won their case because Bart was their lawyer. So congratulations to them.
Okay, very good.
That was my contribution to he's great lawyer. I have nothing. This house is a figment of my imagination. What I would like to
that it's a house. I've only ever seen just that one room.
In this room,
I'm certain that you might just live in that closet. That may not even be your house.
You don't even know that it's 4 walls. It could just be a backdrop and a ceiling or a green screen. You have no idea.
No, I don't believe that you possess the technology to have a green screen.
Something that I do possess is sadness and depression deep in my soul. And what I like to do when I'm sad is laugh at people who are worse off than I am, such as the Oakland Raiders. They made a terrible situation worse when they were drafting a couple years ago. They thought they were drafting one Byron Young from Tennessee, or at least they thought they had the capabilities of. But it is being reported by non-journalists that they potentially drafted the wrong Byron Young.
I really don't believe tweets from this account, but this story checks out in so many ways, and it's crazy. I think the Raiders drafted the wrong Byron Young on draft day. There was 2 Byron Youngs drafted in round 3 of the 2023 draft. The Raiders took this one from Alabama, and a few picks later, the Rams take this one from Tennessee. And allegedly, at the 70th overall pick, the Raiders called the Tennessee Byron Young, but when his name was announced, the other Byron Young, the Alabama one, was selected. So was it a mistake? Well, the Byron Young they took, they released after last year. He spent this year on the Eagles roster, didn't register a stat. Meanwhile, the Rams Byron Young had 7.5 sacks this year, rising star. And side note, look, ESPN even got confused. They used the same guy for both pictures. You can see how a mistake's not out of the question. But what about their pre-draft rankings? Well, the Alabama one, the one the Raiders took, before the draft, he was ranked 117 on the big board. They took him at 70th overall. The one that fell to the Rams was projected a lot higher. He was ranked 72. And again, the Raiders at 70 took the other one. And this guy ended up falling to the Rams at 77. Considering Rams Byron Young allegedly said Vegas called him at pick 70, I think the Raiders messed up and took the wrong Byron Young. And I mean, boy, what a mistake it was if they really meant for this Byron Young to be on the Raiders.
Could be totally wrong. Right. This could be totally wrong because they have shown a prolific love for Alabama players, Alex Leatherwood, who they drafted and released.
Overdraft.
Right. Huge overdraft. So it's possible that they were just terrible evaluators, but either way, they found out they got it wrong. And I love that.
I have done every combine since 2016. And I took Lucas, or Lucas went with me. I didn't take Lucas, but the station sent Lucas with me. That would have been 2022, the combine, I believe. Maybe it was the first year that Rand Carthon was hired that Lucas went with me.
Yeah.
So that would have been 2022.
Yep. Checks out.
No, that's not true. It would have been 2023.
It would have been 23.
John, so this was the February of 23 that Lucas went with me to the combine.
Because you also had an interview with Vrabel there.
I also had an interview with Vrabel
Yes.
there. Right. We did Rand and Vrabel at the combine, 2 sit-down interviews, and Lucas was there because Vrabel called Lucas my stretch, and that made me laugh. All right. So Lucas, lover of all things college football, worships at the altar of college football, never been around the NFL combine, excited to go because it's a college football event, right? Not so fast. Nobody in the NFL, most people in the NFL don't know anything about college football. So I take Lucas into the interview area where they have edge players and defensive linemen speaking at the podiums in the combine, where there are scrums, hundreds of media people surrounding these poor athletes in their workout gear, essentially being interviewed about these things. And the Alabama Byron Young is at the podium at the time. And there are a handful of reporters asking the same questions that you hear all year. Did you have a meeting with the Raiders? How did it go? Was it an official or unofficial visit? Like all these lame ass recycled questions that you hear a lot of times at the combine. And then Lucas, who's over there with me, here's a reporter ask, there's the Alabama Byron Young is asked about the Tennessee Byron Young. The reporter asked, do you know that there's another player player named Byron Young here? And he goes, yeah, and laughs. We've talked about it. It's funny. It'd be cool if we ended up on the same team or something like that, whatever. And the reporter then asks, well, which one are you? And the way that Lucas's face dropped in that moment and the scales were removed from his eyes to understand that most of NFL media does not actually watch college football and that their first introduction to these kids is at the damn combine is one of my favorite moments of all time. And Lucas never wants to go back to the combine after that. It was hilarious.
Never meet your heroes. Never meet your heroes.
I don't think anybody in NFL media is a hero necessarily. Well, there's probably one or two, but certainly not scrummed around the Alabama Byron Young that day. That was a very long story. Okay, very good. That's going to do it for us tonight. The national championship game has officially kicked off. We'll get more into Mike Borgonzi tomorrow. Press conference probably Wednesday at this point. We'll keep you updated with the latest. Obviously, if there's a development in the Colt Anderson situation, we will keep you updated there as well. A quick reminder that Primetime made possible by Zen Sports. $100 on your no danger first wager. Terms and conditions do apply. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 plus and in the state of Tennessee to bet. And TrueMav Fitness. Your first workout is free at TrueMavFitness.com. No workout ever recycled or repeated at the best workout in Nashville. Enjoy the football. 10-1 tomorrow on 104.5 The Zone. Dane Brugler will be on. We'll talk about the national championship game. It'll be a great time. Had by all. See you.
Go home! Go home! Go home! You're embarrassing Nashville. Go home!